love, so you know now I can be still alive, alive, still alive, still alive.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:32, January 7th, Wednesday, hump day. Hopefully everyone's feeling good. I'm feeling good and just did my 20 at 520. Cracked the ice barrel with my lacrosse stick. It was frozen. It was a little colder. It was good because my fingers got a little numb. My toes got a little numb. Makes you feel a little bit alive. And now I'm sitting here getting ready to do the X's and O's, go through my 40 charts, and connect the dots. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. It's been a good start to 2026. Lots of great action, lots of good rotation, lots of good moves. We'll see if that continues. Got to use your tier system. You got to move your feet. You got to do a lot of things in order to stack days. So with that said, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, also the founder of T3, one of them, and the founder of Red Dog Mindset. So hopefully here you are and getting some value. I've been doing this 630 Club for free since 2020. And some of you have joined the Red Dog Mindset. I appreciate you. You'll never lose a 630 Club. If you haven't joined, hit that button above. You know, you could do the Wall Street workout. You could watch the 630 Club. I will be doing it on Friday, doing a bunch of Fridays as long as it continues. And once again, your grandfather in, so great to have you. Anyway, with that said, you know, this is the chart of the SPYs. You know, SPYs are down 65 cents, not a big deal. Every single day we've made higher lows since day one. You had this loose and wide action to shake everybody up. And then from there, nice move. Then we opened lower, took out the high from what's it called, from Monday on Tuesday, and then we hit a 692.32. So the SPYs have been acting very well. I've been trying to buy some SPY calls on every dip, and it's been working. I've been managing it. Qs are still a little bit of a laggard. They are. You know, tried to poke its head above this range. You know, it did take out the prior high also, kind of tight above the moving averages. Little bit of a laggard. We don't like when the Qs are a laggard, but as long as they're not a headwind, they could be a laggard. So anyway, this high here is what? This is 620, 81. This is 621. You know, the Qs are just fine down a $1.30 as long as the Qs hold here. Maybe they continue to the upside. Small caps have been awesome. Super growth has been awesome. You know, all you need is a clue to start, and the IWM gave us that clue on day one when the Qs were a little erratic and things weren't going, were a little predatory. This held, you know, the 50-day held support, and then all of a sudden you had some power here, took back the moving averages, and a little bit of follow through. So with that being said, we'll see if today's a rest day or not. A lot of guys like, hey, Red Dog, you know, Mag 7 isn't the place to be, you know, this. And I'm like, well, it's our job to find the place to be. And that's what we do. That's why we get up every day. That's why we get up early. That's why we have a go-to list. That's why we use a tier system. So this way we can net money and we could use our swing trade longs to let the market make us money. Let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. We got Richard Judge in the house. Good morning, my doggy. Sam Stevens. Hey, Scott, I've seen you retweet that post regarding timeframes and trading. ACS chart looks pretty, what is it? Looks pretty good on all time frames. What do I think? Me and my finance tune in every morning. That's cool. Apple's not participating. It's not a concern. Apple hasn't been a leader of this market for a while. When Apple's good, I love it. But, you know, when it's bad, you just let it be on the side. If you're an investor in Apple the last 5 years, who cares? If you're trying to trade that and you're not trading other names that are working, you know what? You're in the wrong spot. Same thing with Tesla. Tesla gave lots of signals that it's not special anymore. When you're an active trader, you want to be in things that are special. You want to be in things that make it easier to hold. You want to be in things that, you know, make it easy to massage, not things that roll you over. I want me to give you a quick example. Let me give you a quick example because Amazon and Tesla, have been are always a focus, and Apple also. So let me show you how a rebuild can give you clues to get back long, and a rebuild potential could sometimes fail. And there's a fine line between losing a little and losing a lot, making a little and making a lot. So let's go to Amazon first. So remember that first day to start the year. This was a tough move. Looked great, looked like it was going to get above 233, and then pushed above, went red, pushed below, and held. So that got me out of Amazon. I'm like, that's a loose wide day. I need to give this some space. Okay. So then on this day, I was like, wow, this just repaired this loose wide day as if it didn't happen. The sellers had no control. So I bought options on that day for the following week. And then this day wound up clearing that spot. Would I have loved this day to happen on this day? Yeah, but it didn't. They shook it up. In the same, so Amazon I made a lot of money in Amazon yesterday. Not as much as if this day happened on this day, but who cares? It wasn't ready. On the same time frame though, Tesla tried to repair too. Right here, this little candle right there. First of all, people are like, well, what could you have seen, when Tesla really changed? Well, it really changed right here when it was awesome and it looked like it was going to get to 500. It was the leader. It was by itself. It pushed above 495 and fell. That was get out of your momentum shares, 101. And then it just got weaker. And then on this day is when I really get out of some of my options. I got out of some of my stock, and I'm like, all right, it's not special anymore. It doesn't look like it's a bull flag breakout. It more looks like, you have to be careful. And since then, it's been below the moving average. But on this day, it kind of took back that last move. So that was the same day that Amazon did it. So I'm like, maybe Tesla's okay. So I bought some TSLL just because I was still skeptical. And then when the news came out with NVIDIA and the autonomous driving, I was like, all right, this doesn't sound kosher. And as soon as we broke below 445, which I gave you yesterday, that was my stop out. So yeah, a little paper cut, and then I didn't trade it the rest of the day. I made big money buying the drones names, buying space names, trading other things away from here. So anyway, with that being said, this low here yesterday was 428. The 100 days down here. So it's a different trade. What's the type of trade you're in? Have you been in Tesla for 2-3 years, or are you playing it for momentum up here that failed? Or were you in it because it was above the 821 day and that changed there? So people are like, where do you put your stops? I put my stop where the reason why I'm in a trade changes, and it's all about your time frame and it's different. So anyway, that's enough. So so Amazon rebuilt and went on this day, and Tesla failed. And Apple's been horrible. Apple also, had a loose wide day. It didn't even attempt to rebuild. So this was the loose wide day to start the year, and then it just broke the moving averages and went lower, and and that's that. Now maybe there's a trade at the 100-day in Apple. Doesn't mean, as an investor in Apple to get out, you'll probably be fine. But if you were an active trader and you want to get paid in January, it's not the place to be long. It's fine. Anyway, below the moving averages, this is where the 100-day is. So if you want to take a look here at 258.77, you take a look at 258.77. That's enough with the Mag 7 because the Mag 7 are on focus. The Mag 7 have not been the place to be. And NVIDIA's been hard too. Semis, in NVIDIA, I came in long. I thought maybe, it was enough that it would break above 193. It wasn't. So you got to be careful now. The market's fine when NVIDIA is not a leader, but when it's a laggard or a headwind, tech cares. So 185.91, where is NVIDIA right now? NVIDIA is up 49 cents. So as long as it hangs out in here, the market doesn't care really about NVIDIA. It'd be nice if there was power and there was something to do there. I make a lot of money when NVIDIA is strong, but when it's not a headwind, when it's not there, it's not there. Path, what PP call out on Path? Yeah, I said thanks. Nice. Yeah. So Path is a name that I like a lot. Look at that nice, beautiful candle, different. Took back the moving averages. I was accumulating a little bit in here. I got a lot bigger. So if you look at Path, switching gears, it's a kind of a logistical AI. I can't even get people. What does Path do? I'm like, you can look it up yourself. Bottom line is, if you remember when I was on that, my 3:00 Twitter show with a bunch of the the fundamental guys, they loved it. We bought options here, made a lot of money, went to 1984 and came back down. What's really exciting here too is you look at the weekly chart and path. Came public when everything that came public got hit. This was when like Dave Portnoy thought he was a genius and cried every day and get out of the market, and now he's back. But anyway, don't be a gambler. Make sure your kids don't gamble too much. It's an epidemic. They're committing suicide. Don't glorify gambling. The stock market is not a casino. But anyway, so this was at $80 and worked its way all the way lower. And look at this nice lower consolidation. Looks like it's just poking up now. I would make everyone a pinky bet by the end of the year, this stock will have hit 26.55. So try and stay with it. Try and use your time frame. You heard it here, 26.55 at least. And then the 200 days right there. It's got to get above 1984 to get to 26.55. I'm in it. I'm in options. It's a power play. This is something that finally, I think will get better. So that's Path. It's a different name. A lot of people got to, hate it because of how bad it's been. But you know what? That was then. This is now. Anyway, so we'll see what happens here. This is a 1740. It's got a lot of room up above. You could be long with your risk quantified right there. Anyway, NBIS had a good day yesterday. Some guys traded that. Got above this area that we were talking about yesterday. Got above 99.50. So this is another longer term name. Remember last year we played this with this cup and handle. It was beautiful. Gapped up. We were buying it here, played it for earnings and this and that. I am not in this one right now. But there are guys that are in it. Just because I'm not in it doesn't mean you don't have to be. Bottom line is, I am your chief strategic officer. Well, I'm actually the chief strategic officer of T3 Live, T3 Trading Group, the Alpha Team, not the 630 Club. The 630 Club, I'm just here for you. But that's it. Once you leave, you're gone. I'm the strategist all day long, massaging my positions, doing my thing. But anyway, MSOS, I think MSOS will be fine for February and March. I have options. It's not over focus. We'll see what's going on with the space names. They're down a little bit today. Does anyone see news on why it's down? But it's really not the biggest deal. Yesterday, I came in. I was buying Rocket Labs, and on the pull-in, I bought options. And in this move with this, I made 100% of my options yesterday. Got out of 75%. Also bought it through here later in the day after losing a little bit of money and did pretty well. So this was really nice. This was, look at this leader. This is leadership. This doesn't look like Apple or Tesla. This is leadership above the 8-day momentum. Now it's got to hold this 79.83 and continue. ASTS looks great also. Analyst downgraded on what? On the space names? Oh, ASTS was downgraded. All right, it's a little annoying. But again, 1, 2, 3 days, you should be at least smaller. I don't have any options on it now. I am long the stock. We'll see, who downgraded it, Rick. If you could post it, that's great. And then, what's really been great is the drone names. And I was here during Christmas and New Year's while everyone was on the beach and in the mountains, which is fine. And, I'm a workhorse. They call me the Red Dog Workhorse. I wrote a book 20 years ago, if you want to look at it, with the rest of T3. You had the natural, you had the guru. I was the workhorse because I'm not that smart. I just work hard. Anyway, RDW, I was accumulating in here. A lot of people, fundamental guys, were saying this is going to be a good year for RDW. If you remember, last year was as high as 25. So I was like, you know what? I could accumulate it down here. I was anticipating. Sometimes accumulating can make you a lot of money. Sometimes if you accumulate, the market doesn't agree with you, it could hurt. But anyway, I was accumulating here. And then finally, this was the day that I was like, all right, now it looks ready to go. My go time triggered, and it's been a great little 3-day trade. Something nice. I think you could still, it just got above the 200-day. I think it fills that gap. That has been a big money maker for me. ACHR, big money maker also. Looks like it's ready to take this out at some point. I'm not as aggressive there. JOBY, I've been very aggressive. I was aggressive during this entire time period. Then finally with power plays, I'm like, hey guys, I bought it wrong a little bit, and then we doubled up here and had a really nice move. And I was accumulating options out the yin yang. You know what the yin yang is? It's a lot. I had a lot of options here. It was awesome. Went to 638, little sideways action. I do think this works higher. So those are names that I didn't know 2 years ago. Anyway, ONDS has been on fire. I sold that one a little early, unfortunately. This is definitely a leader. You're right. It's good to be with the leaders. I was buying it in here, and I sold it there. I just had too much. I had too much going on. UMAC's been my best on the leadership side. I was buying it here. We finally took that off as a power play. Probably goes a lot higher. I want to see it rebuild, and then at some point, I think it takes out to 17 and goes a little nuts. So that's great. But anyway, TTD. Some people played that for a January effect name. What did it do? I like my January effect names. CMG has been a January effect name. This has been awesome. We started buying options here, sold, whatever the 34 calls, and then rolled them up. And I still think this is on its way to 41. This has been a nice January effect. That's when then the losers of 2025 stop being sold. So that's been great. I've been piecing out options. Nike even got downgraded and went higher. I think it's on its way to 69. We were buying it down here. That's been a great January effect name. So there's been a lot of good things to do. Yesterday, iron was a little tough, little tough. But again, if you buy it right and use a tier system, it's fine. I was buying it here, and I got a very small, 2 nice days. So yesterday into this pullback, I was buying the options because I just didn't want to, the stock wasn't showing me any signal until later in the day. And I bought some options and I pieced out of some. And, I would think as long as it holds yesterday's low of 43.18, it's fine. There was something that the data centers didn't like that NVIDIA said about the future, about cooling and about this and about that. I don't think, but maybe it's fine. I don't know. What's iron doing today? Iron is, it's only down 84 cents. Not a big deal, but all of them are down a little bit. So as long as this, now you can put this here, as long as this holds 43.18, this gap was filled. Let's get this out of the way. I think it's fine, because some people are like, how do you know if it's a new active sequence or it's just, a trade? Well, this was day one. Day two, paid you to buy a dip, hold this, go sideways, and then we'll see if we get, it takes this out in the sessions ahead. So either it's just a really, really good trade off the bottom, or it builds and goes and you stay with it. So Scotiabank downgraded ASTS, means they were probably on the wrong side. Let me just, if someone was asking me about that, so I want to tell him there was a downgrade. I hate some of these guys. Sorry. ASTS downgrade. Scotia, right? All right, Snow looking ready to make me some money. All right, I haven't looked at that in a while, Gary. A lot of my friends, have made really big money in Snow. Yeah, Snow woke up. Snow gave you a day one right here. That was been a nice day to say, hey, look at that. It took back this day one of the year, woke up, stronger candle. You should learn candlestick analysis. On the weekends, I always post a lot of things about candlesticks. Bar by bar analysis as a technician is very important. I took a class way back when, I don't even remember the guy's name. Maybe it was Pristine, back in the day, and I took a class, bar by bar analysis, which teaches you what candlesticks mean, and candlesticks create charts. So this candle right here meant that it took out this range. It was stronger than the range, and then you had that. And now there's some room. So bar by bar analysis is key. UNH, yes, a lot of guys that I talk to are in this one too, a little different. Battered and bruised. Also, no more tax loss selling. I said it can get to 360. Poked its head above this spot. It's on its way. So that's a lot of little things are happening. CYBN changed its name. I sold it. It went from 6 to 9. I'm going to probably revisit it once people know where to look and find that. That's a pain in the ass sometimes. Yeah. So here's what else we got going on here today. So Microsoft woke up a little bit. Someone's like, what about Microsoft? Did it repair like Amazon repaired? We'll see. I don't know exactly. If you look at Amazon, when Amazon repaired, it really took back that loose wide day and took the whole day back and got back above the moving averages in the range. And then that happened. Microsoft did not do that. Microsoft just took back the prior day, which is a little bit better. But now look at all this overhead resistance. And I know there are a lot of people saying, when's Microsoft going to wake up? I don't know. All I know is you now could maybe be long versus 469, but that's your hard stop. And there's a lot of resistance up here. What's Microsoft doing this morning? It's not $1.23. So if you feel like you missed Microsoft, this is something to look at today. Maybe you buy it, maybe it goes red to green. I'm just saying, it did give you a little bit of something different than Apple. Look at Apple. Apple broke 266 and couldn't find a friend. Now you'll see maybe there's a red dog reversal around, what's this, 262.14. Maybe you got a red dog reversal on Apple today. Maybe there's a tactical way to make money here. What's a tactical way to make money? Well, from 277 down, maybe it trades below 62.14, reclaims it, and you can make a little bit of cash flow. But it's a broken name, broken for now. Pony's looking great. I haven't played that one in a while. Yeah, Pony also, bar by bar analysis. Look at this candle right here. Big day one, took back the moving averages, put it back on the radar. I haven't been trading it ever since I get out right around here. This was a fun trade. This is, China Autonomous, Pony AI. That was when I was really involved right there. And what a nice move that was. Yeah, it's rebuilding. I should I'll put it back on the list and start looking at it. Open Red Dog, OPEN. Yeah, off the lows, coming right back into this little downtrend. I guess it didn't work there, so it did wake up a little bit. Some guys made some really good money from during this active sequence. It's been in a corrective phase. What's it doing this morning? Open, OPEN, down a little bit. This should be some resistance for open. I don't really know what the narrative there is. Dog, were you in any of the memory names? Not really. I kind of missed them. I apologize. But I do know a lot of people that were short, okay, just to show you how a Q trade could go against you. A lot of guys were like, I'm shorting MU, I'm shorting it. Okay, you could have done it as just a Q trade because it was a little extended, but then you got your ass kicked. Okay, some guys in the alpha team are long MU. I put the chart in there. I teach this strategy. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have like 18 positions and options. I just don't trade these well. Sometimes they're not in your, but guys are in it from this spot, 246. Learn this tactic. Get a big gap up after earnings. It holds it. You could buy verse there, and then you have yourself a nice swing trade. So sometimes, look at SanDisk. Wow, I put this chart the other day. I said you could be long versus 266. It gets above 284. Go with it. Again, sometimes I'm in them, sometimes I'm not. Okay, I'd love to be in everything. I wish I could be in 50 names, but I'm not a friggin' computer. I try and be in things that are on my 40 name go-to list. I move them up and down. I try and add new names. I got to be able to communicate. I got to be able to adjust. The best thing is when I'm writing and I'm in a lot of things and I'm making a big quarterly paycheck and I get that on top of everything else that I'm doing. So I get it. I sold LAC yesterday. This was a little trade, 3 day. Sometimes I also just take a 3-day trade, like this was a great trade. I bought it and 3 days higher, I sell it just so this way I'm not sitting in 25 things. If we happen to get a leg sweep and I lose 6 figures in a day because I have too many trailers, if you have a third on, like if you bought tier 1 here, tier 3 here, and you're back to tier 1 to keep, and it comes back in with everything else, and you have 20 different tier 1s on, you get a bad day, all of a sudden that hurts. So I do take some trades off and show and prove that you can day trade and love them and leave them, like college. Now, we didn't do that in college. Maybe sometimes. But anyway, you don't have to marry every single name and turn it into a go-to name you hold for months. Sometimes you just use your tactics, make your money, and move on. But anyway, with that being said, it's 6:54. I'm 24 minutes in. I'm only supposed to do this for 20 minutes. If you did subscribe to Red Dog Mindset, I appreciate you. If you love the 630 Club and you haven't, you better subscribe soon. Otherwise, one day you might lose the 630 Club. If you do subscribe and you stay subscribed, you'll never lose it. You should also do the 25-20. Get yourself a nice workout, get your mobility up, get a nice sweat out. When you're in the sauna and you're working out at 5:20 in the morning, kind of like a runner's high, your thoughts are elevated, your endorphins are going. You can think about your positions, you can think about things you want to do, and then when things happen, when the market's open, you execute. If you don't do it with me, do it on your own. Go to a gym, get on the treadmill. You could also watch a 25-20 from a treadmill or a stair machine or a stationary bike and just hear it, listen to the playlist, think about some of the thoughts, and then every now and then, do the 20-minute workout or not. But anyway, here we are. Nice little move there. There's any crypto. I do have a little IBIT on. It's a pain in the ass. The crypto is a pain in the ass. I bought it here. I sold most. I bought a little back yesterday. There was some news at the MCCI, whatever it's called. We'll let some of these type of names in. So Mister's up 6 because maybe there's some flows there. They're not getting kicked out. But then if you look at IBIT, it's not so bad. I'm in some. The place to be, has been silver, silver, gold. But just like I said before, sometimes I'm in them and sometimes I leave them. I was in silver here. Right on this day, I bought a friggin' ton of $49.50 calls, and then I sold them into there. And then I bought the $54 calls, sold them into there. And that was like my last time I really was in silver. And then we had a really nice power play in gold. So again, I like to carve out moves and move on. Can't be in every move the entire. Oh, someone said, "Why am I in Rumble?" Rumble's a crap stock, but it did poke up yesterday, and some people said that they might try and get this thing moving. So I'm in a little bit of RUM. It's kind of shitty. It's just something to do. Taxel song was out. I made really good money a few times in Rum last year during this move, so I kind of have some decent memories here. It is what it is. I bought it yesterday for the first time. It's got a lot of work to do. It's a broken name. Don't over focus on that. If you have multiple positions on, maybe that's good for you. Anyway, thanks for reposting my stream, Grumpy Grandpa. Why are you so grumpy, Grandpa? Don't be a grumpy grandpa. Every day above ground is a good day. Not everyone makes it to being a grandpa. I know as you get older, you get aches and pains and this and that, but getting old is a privilege. Don't be grumpy. Appreciate every day. I'll see you guys later.